O-Level Biology 5090, Chapter 11, Transport in Humans, Part 2. First of all, I would like to discuss the different arteries and veins which supply the blood or collect the blood from different parts of the body. Lungs are the organs where the exchange of gases takes place. Heart is a pumping organ which pumps the blood. On right side of the heart, the blood is entered through superior and inferior vena cava, which collects the blood from different parts of the body. And vena cava carries the deoxygenated blood, and this blood is entered into the right auricle, or then from right atrium or auricle, the blood is entered into the right ventricle. From right ventricle, the blood is pushed towards the towards the lungs with the help of pulmonary arteries. So pulmonary arteries takes the blood from the heart towards the lungs. From the upper body, the blood is also collected and it is thrown into the vena cava. The hepatic vein is the vein which collects the blood from the liver. Renal vein collects the blood from the kidneys. So in this way, the deoxygenated blood is collected, and collectively this blood is taken by the superior and inferior vena cava, and then this blood is entered into the right side of the heart. The oxygenated blood is distributed by the aorta, and from the lungs, the blood is carried by pulmonary vein, and the oxygenated blood into the left atrium and then into the left ventricle, and from the left ventricle, aorta takes it towards the different organs to distribute there. So the blood is supplied, the oxygenated blood is supplied to the liver by the hepatic artery, and blood is also supplied to the other organs as stomach and intestine, and renal artery is there to supply the oxygenated blood towards the kidney or to the kidneys. And in this way, you can say hepatic portal vein is there, which takes the blood from the small intestine towards the liver. So in this way, these arteries and veins play a vital role in the collection and transportation of the blood between the heart and the different parts of the body. Now, we will discuss what are arteries. Arteries are the blood vessels which takes the blood away from the heart. They carry oxygenated blood, except pulmonary. Because pulmonary artery carries the deoxygenated blood from the heart towards the lungs. So arteries play a vital role to distribute the oxygenated blood towards the different organs. In the next slide, I would like to show you the structure of the artery, and I will relate its structure with its function. Here you can see the artery, which looks highly muscular. So it is highly muscular in nature. So it consists of 3 layers: outer layer, middle layer, and inner layer. Outer layer is made up of collagen fibers. Middle layer is made up of smooth muscle cells and elastic fibers. So the innermost layer is made up of endothelium cells. So in this way, these 3 types of layers make it very muscular. Why the artery is muscular? Because it has to supply the blood from the heart to the body. So the blood has to travel a long distance. So the pressure is high in the arteries. And this high pressure is built up with the help of these muscular walls. So blood, they are thick, they're lumen, or you can say the less lumen, or lumen is small. You can see this is only the lumen. So in this way, they are high muscular. So blood flows with high pressure. So highest pressure is there in the arteries. In the next slide, we will discuss the vein or veins. Veins are the type of blood vessels which takes the blood towards the heart because they carry deoxygenated blood. Veins collect the blood from different organs and take them towards the heart for oxygenation. So in the next slide, I would like to show you the structure of a vein. Structure of a vein, you can see that it has large diameter. It has large diameter as comparison to artery. So large lumen. It is also made up of 3 layers, but it is less muscular. Less muscular, so there is possible, and large lumen or diameter, so there is possibility of backward flow of blood. So the backward flow of blood is prevented by having walls in them. Walls are present, and these walls prevents the backward flow of blood. They carry deoxygenated blood, they have large lumen, they are less muscular, and walls are present in them, and they have less pressure. And due to less pressure, there is possibility that the blood can flow in the backward direction. So walls are there to stop the backward flow of blood. In the next slide, I would like to show you the walls which can be present in a vein. And here you can see the blood can flow in the heart, you can say. The walls are just like the doors or flaps. That is, the blood can, or they can only open in the direction. Blood can flow only in this direction, the downward direction. But if blood want to go back in the upward direction, they will be closed. So in this way, it will not be possible for the blood to go in the backward directions. So blood can only flow in the direction in which the walls will be open. In the next slide, we will discuss capillary. Capillaries are very tiny blood vessels, only 1 cell thick. And their function is exchange of gases. Their function is exchange of gases. And the arteries are further branched into arterioles, and arterioles are branched into a fine network of capillaries. And capillaries are joined together to make venules, and venules join together to make vein. So in this way, the blood flow in this direction. So capillaries are very fine network where the exchange of gases takes place. In the next, you can see the structure of the capillaries, and you can see the fine network of them. In every organ, basement membrane and endothelium, these are the two membranes. So they are very thin. There are no muscles inside, no muscular walls. Now I would like to discuss the composition of blood. And the blood is mainly liquid, and blood is a tissue. Tissue means many cells are present in the blood. So blood is made up of cells that are suspended in a liquid. The liquid portion, this is the liquid portion, which is called as plasma. And plasma is 90% water, 90%. But you can say the water quantity can be, percentage can be 90 or less than 90, it depends. And 90% water, and the other 10% proteins, lipids, carbohydrates, amino acids, antibodies, hormones, electrolytes, waste products, salts, ions, all they will make up the other 10%. And you can say there are cells inside the uh, plasma. They float in the plasma. They are red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets are there. So the red blood cells and white blood cells, all they have different functions, which we will discuss in the next video. In the next slide. In the next slide, we will see the red blood cells. You can see the red blood cells are circular, biconcave, they are thin in the center and thick at the edges. In this way, their surface area is increased. No nucleus, nucleus, no nucleus, no nucleus. Their function is to transport oxygen towards the different parts of the body. So in this way, when they move, or they different parts of the body, they need a carrier, and the carrier is hemoglobin, and hemoglobin takes the oxygen towards the different parts in the form of oxyhemoglobin. So when the blood reach in different parts where there is less concentration of oxygen, so oxyhemoglobin breaks down into oxygen and hemoglobin. So that oxygen is entered to those parts where there is less oxygen. So in this way, the red blood cells play a vital role in the transportation of oxygen. One more thing, that is they produce in bone marrow. they produce in bone marrow, and they are don't have nucleus, so their life is only 120 days. After every 120 days, the new they die and the new cells formation takes place. Next type of cells are the white blood cells. And before going to white blood cells, I would like to, you can say, the red blood cells, the structure and function. I already discussed structure, that is, they have large surface area, they contain hemoglobin as an carrier, no nucleus, carries oxygen from the lungs to the body and carbon dioxide from the body back to the lungs. So in this way, the red blood cells helps in the transportation of not only oxygen but also the transportation of the carbon dioxide from the body parts towards the heart. Now we will move towards the next slide, which is about white blood cell. So white blood cells, they defend the body against infection and disease, or simply we can say they fight against the microorganisms which try to cause infection in our body. So they are also produced in the bone marrow, and you can say they perform different functions. They make up our immune system. They make up our immune system. They kill the microorganisms. They produce antibodies. So in this way, they perform different functions. In the next slide, we will see the different types of white blood cells according to their functions, or we will only discuss their major role. That is, the first of all, the lymphocytes. Lymphocytes, you can say the large nucleus is there in the lymphocytes, and their function is to produce the antibodies, Lymphocyte produce antibodies. When they produce antibodies, when any pathogen enters into our body, pathogens, they can be bacteria, virus, so etc. So pathogens enter into the body, they produce toxins. Toxins can infection in the body. So at that time, the lymphocytes are activated. They recognize the pathogens, and after recognizes them, they neutralize or kill them. Neutralize or kill them. And then phagocytes are activated, and the phagocytes, you can say that they have a lobed nucleus. So phagocytes and will engulf the dead pathogens or microorganisms. Dead microbes or pathogens by the process which is called as phagocytosis. So in this way, these white blood cells make up our immune system. They fight against microorganisms or pathogens. Next are platelets, and platelets have plate-like structure, and their function is clotting of blood. Clotting of blood. If our blood vessels get damaged, then it's damage send the signals to the platelets, and then platelets rush to the site of the damage. They perform a plug is also called as a clot to fix the damage. Now in the next slide, we will see how the clotting takes place. at the entry or removal of blood from the vessels. When there is injury, definitely from the site of the injury, the blood will flow out and blood can be lost at that time. So what happens at that time? You can say the preliminaries, you can say stages of the clotting will take place. That is, the clotting process will state, platelets will be activated. Platelets will be activated. And then what will happen? The uh, prothrombinase is an enzyme which is present in the blood. It changes the prothrombin, a substance which is prothrombin, into thrombin in the presence of calcium ions. And then what happens that then fibrinogens, these are the soluble fibers. These are the soluble fibers which are changed in the presence of by the help of thrombin into insoluble fibers. So these fibers make a clot on the site of the injury. So in this way, clotting by the platelets will take place in case of any tissue damage. In the next slide, we will discuss the transfer of substance between blood in capillaries, tissue fluid, and body cells. And here you can see from the heart towards the heart, veins or vena, in the form vena cava, they will take the blood towards the heart, and the arteries, they will carry the blood from the heart towards the body parts. And where there is exchange of gases, there will be the capillaries. So arteries, aorta will divide into many arteries, and arteries will divide into arterioles, and arterioles will further branch into capillaries, and capillaries into venules, and venules into veins, and veins will join up to make vena cava. So in this way, the blood is transported or collected. That is, on this side, the direction of the flow of the blood will be in this direction. And here in the arteries, you can see the blood pressure will be very high because the walls of the arteries are highly muscular. And so when the blood will enters from the arteries to the arterioles and then into the capillaries, so there are these small pores in the wall of the capillaries. Due to high pressure, the liquid or tissue fluid will leak out of the blood. It will not contain red blood cell. It will contain some protein and plasma. Some protein, plasma, but it does not contain the red blood cell. So this is called as tissue fluid. When this blood flow back after the capillaries, then the blood flow back. So towards the venules, the diameter is start increasing. Venules have larger diameter as comparison to capillaries, and then veins have larger than venules, and vena cava is the largest, the vein. So in this way, the pressure is start decreasing over here due to the larger diameter. So some of this tissue fluid is absorbed again, but most of them goes into the tissues. Here you can see, students, the highest pressure is always in the arteries. And next to arteries, the blood is in capillaries, and from capillaries and in the vein. If arteries will be highest, and less than arteries, there will be the capillaries, and less than capillaries, the veins. So in this way, the transfer of substance between blood in capillaries, tissue fluid, and body cells will take place. So exchange will be takes place in the capillaries, and due to the difference in the pressure of these blood vessels. Now I will explain this. Already told you that it low pressure blood floating into the veins from capillaries. So high pressure, it means the blood is flowing from the arteries towards the capillaries, and during its flow towards the capillaries, towards the capillaries and from capillaries to the veins. So what happens? Capillary contains this blood, and what happens during this exchange of gases is taking place. That is, the oxygen is entered into the tissues and carbon dioxide is entered into the blood capillary. So in this way, exchange of gases takes place. Beside this, water, cells, oxygen, glucose, they pass through the capillary wall into the tissues. So in that at that time, this is called as tissue fluid. And you can say the absorption by the capillary will take place. That is, the carbon dioxide will enter into it, and in this way the exchange of gases is taking place over here. Then the tissue fluid, which is present in the tissues, it is collected by our lymphatic system. So lymphatic system is also present in the body to collect the lymph. What is lymph? Lymph is that tissue fluid when it is absorbed or it enters into the lymphatic system, it is called as lymph. So in this way, the exchange of gases and the transfer of different nutrients takes place in the blood. So it was all about the transport in human. Uh, Students, please like and subscribe my channel. Thanks for watching.